A good evening to you all, and thank you very much for joining us here on Rwanda Television News. We hope you had yourselves a very productive Thursday. Now here's a sneak peek at our edition tonight. Analysts and citizens in general find that the newly elected MPs should focus more on improving the laws that are in uniformity with the contents of the elected president's manifesto. Female health practitioners at the Accident and Emergency Department of the University Teaching Hospital of Kigali CHUK face the daily challenge of caring for patients at risk of losing their lives. We are glad to have your company tonight, coming to you straight from the heart of Africa, Kigali. My name is Martina Avera. Starting things off, President Paul Kagame and First Lady Jeannette Kagame are in France to attend the 2024 Paris Olympic Games. On Thursday, President Paul Kagame participated in the Sports for Sustainable Development Summit at the Louvre, which brought together global leaders and athletes. On Friday, the President and the First Lady will join French President Emmanuel Macron for a reception and the opening ceremony. During the summit, participants discussed the intersection of sports and development, focusing on areas such as health, nutrition, education, and equality. The event also featured a joint review of how sports can continue to play a crucial role in fostering cooperation, sustainable investment, and environmental awareness. Analysts and citizens in general find that the newly elected MPs should focus more on improving the laws that are in uniformity with the contents of the elected president's manifesto for speedy progress in the next 5 years. Sam Kalisa has a report.
On Tuesday, July 23rd, the final list of 80 deputies to assume the Lower House of Parliament for the next 5 years was announced by the National Electoral Commission. Citizens called for cooperation in developing areas that still lag behind. We want to remind them that they are citizens' messengers. They should know that their job is not just sitting in the parliament premises, but rather a place to deliver. They should sit in the parliament, but also come down to us in the local communities so that we can discuss the country's governance spearheaded by President Paul Kagame. Senator Juvenal Musi is optimistic that these MPs will deliver, considering the fact that the final list consists of names that have held important positions in the past. They have been elected from the citizens. They are citizens who are going to serve other citizens on higher levels. They have been doing that from the district levels, and now they should extend it to the national level. If they come up with the needs from the southern province, the north, the east and the west, and integrate it, it will impact the whole country. Mukama Abbas, who was a member of parliament from 2000 to 2018, is certain that new MPs will collaborate to establish laws that support the implementation of various government programs in the next 5 years. They have to make sure that the laws they pass are in line with the manifesto of the President of the Republic and meant to address issues affecting citizens. When the cabinet proposes a draft law to be passed by the parliament, it looks at all citizens, be it those who voted for the president and those who did not. They should therefore analyze those laws, article by article, and align them with the citizens' expectations and needs. Representatives of non-government organizations indicate that for the president's manifesto to be achieved, parliamentarians need to play a big role through monitoring its implementation through various institutions. We want deputies to vote the laws that are in favor of citizens and use the power they have to make the right decisions. What do I mean here? MPs have the ability to disqualify a minister, but we've never had that happen in the past. We think that a leader who is found of big mistakes, like we have always seen in the Auditor General's report, should be disqualified by the Parliament. This is because when mistakes are left untouched, They are always repeated. Yet some of those mistakes directly affect the welfare of citizens, for instance, corruption and more. In the end, citizens' welfare, economic welfare, and the development of the country in general can't be achieved just because of that. The RPF Inkotanyi manifesto aims to speed up sustainable development in the 2024-2029 term. This will be achieved through creating at least 25,000 jobs every year, focusing on women and the youth. RPF Inkotanyi also pledged to boost agricultural productivity to 8% increase every year and 13% annual increase in industrial output. Liberal Party chairperson Donatil Mukabadisa noted that deputies should operate in accordance with the country, regional and global development pace under the Millennium Development Goals.
We can say they have a starting point in the parliament alone, but also with the country at large. What MPs do is for the development of the country. We have achieved a lot that they will build on and keep improving on them. Because as the country develops, more attention is drawn on the needs of Rwandans, but also assessing where the country stands compared to the region, the continent, and the global outlook, all of which keeps evolving according to the needs of the citizens and other world dynamics.
Up to 63.8% of the 80 members of the newly elected Rwandan Chamber of Deputies, the lower house, are women, as the list from the National Electoral Commission has shown. The new development represents an increase of women MPs, up from 61% in the previous parliament. Aside from 24 seats reserved for women parliamentarians who are elected through electoral college system, 27 women vied for the 53 remaining seats and were elected to the parliament. For political parties, the RPF Inkotanyi, with its allied parties, have the majority of the MPs in the new parliament, totaling 38, followed by the Liberal Party with 5, and the Social Democratic Party PSD with 5 as well. The Ideal Democratic Party PDI, the Democratic Green Party of Rwanda, and PS Imberakuri have 2 MPs each.
The Rwanda Investigation Bureau, RIB, paraded 6 members of a 7-person scam crew involved in a failed bank robbery, which involved close to 100 million Rwandan francs. RIB urges the youth to stay away from all sorts of crimes, including scamming. Ineza Ketia has more on the report.
On the 20th July, the Rwandan Investigation Bureau RIB arrested 6 members, 4 men and 2 women, of Rwandan and Ugandan nationalities, charged of stealing money from various local and regional bank accounts and depositing the money to suspects' account, as the spokesman for RIB, Dr. Thierry Murangira, explains.
Twabagendaga runono kuko hari amakuru twabonye ko hari ibitero biri gutegurwa.
We heard about the scammers going on around, so we started following them closely, and all 7 of them played their own part. It involved the mastermind who recruited people to open or create clean accounts and obtain ATM cards. These recruits forwarded account details, bank identification numbers, and ATM card information to the mastermind.
Dr. Murangira Thierry advises the youth to stay away from scamming.
The suspects already knew that their accounts were going to be illegally used. They made illegal deals thinking that there was no risk. I am telling the youth that this is not a great way to get money because in the end, the suspects got caught.
The RIB spokesperson also called on banks and other financial institutions to establish robust systems to prevent future incidents.
Banks and financial institutions are to build stable systems to prevent unauthorized access to funds from foreign branches, especially for accounts with unusual activity. People should not just trust anyone because anyone promising monetary gains in exchange for your data is likely involved in shady business.
The suspects face charges including unauthorized disclosure of access codes, continuous fraudulent use of data processing systems, and unauthorized access to computer systems. If convicted, they could face 2 to 15 years of imprisonment and fines up to 30 million Rwandan francs. Ineza Ketia, RTV News.
Moving on to the health sector, female health practitioners at the Accident and Emergency Department of the University Teaching Hospital of Kigali, CHUK, face the daily challenge of caring for patients at risk of losing their lives. Despite the demanding nature of their work, these dedicated professionals view their roles as a calling, skillfully balancing their critical responsibilities with their family lives. Olive Nete has more.
The Accident and Emergency Department at the University Teaching Hospital of Kigali, CHUK, is one of the most delicate departments dealing with patients often caught between life and death due to accidents or severe illnesses. Managing such critical situations can be highly challenging. Christine Uwineza, who has been working as a nurse in this department for 22 years and is currently the matron, has a team of 51 nurses. She admits that initially, working in this service was not easy. At first, I was full of fear. During my first, second and third days in this unit, we received severely injured people from accidents, which was very difficult for me. I was even afraid to go home by myself because of the cases I saw. I felt like I might also have an accident. It is hard to see someone completely damaged by an accident without a recognizable shape. It is really scary, and at some point, you even get nightmares during your first days working in this department. However, we learn from others how to take care of these patients. We perform sutures and provide necessary care. As days go by, we are also trained on how to prepare a deceased person before they are taken to the mortuary, which is also frightening at first. Uwineza also shares that her passion for her duties as a nurse in the emergency care unit has only grown over the years. One of the most rewarding aspects of her job is witnessing the recovery of patients who were brought in gravely ill and in a rush. In the resuscitation room, where we perform life-saving interventions, the work is very challenging. Patients in this room are gravely ill, often in a coma, barely breathing, and on oxygen. Working here requires full attention and care, and it can be frightening. The patient's family is also present, stressed and full of fear. However, when we perform resuscitation or other treatments and the patients recover, it is incredibly rewarding. Seeing them come back to thank us and show us pictures of their recovery gives us strength and fulfillment to continue our work. Dr. Uwamahoro Doris Lorette, the head of the emergency care unit at CHUK, and Christine Uwineza both consider their work a calling. They acknowledge the difficulty in balancing their demanding roles with their personal lives, but with the support of their families, they are able to carry out their duties effectively.
Combining work in emergency department and family is not easy. I would say when you're starting, it's very challenging because you don't know yet how to adapt or accommodate the two situations. So it's very hard on the family side because you can work longer shifts, but I think with a good communication, with a good family support, you end up balancing work and family life. So we do have in the department, we have requested someone to help us mentally because we are very emotional people and we get touched whenever we lose a life. So it's not easy. So we have time to sit and talk, free ourselves.
When you get nightmares and sometimes even speak while dreaming, your family may notice you are very tired. This may affect our families, but we do our best. In this service, we have a counselor who assists us so that we can continue living normally and maintain our family life. There is a sense of contentment in being able to save someone's life quickly. When you put yourself in the position of those who are hurt, you provide immediate care, making it your personal duty and carrying it out well. According to the University Teaching Hospital of Kigali, 60% of patients admitted to the accident and emergency care unit suffer from chronic diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, kidney diseases, and other conditions. Additionally, The second largest group consists of individuals involved in road accidents. Moreover, the department receives between 600 and 800 patients per month. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Political analysts demonstrate that in Africa there should be fund politics prioritizing the youth to empower them and make them decision makers. This is as in various parts of this continent, the youth demonstrations are taking place against expensive livelihood and corruption. Prince Manzi has the report.
Recently in Africa to current, youth demonstrations are increasingly being found in various countries. First heard in Kenya in June this year with the Youth Against the Finance Bill. The President of Kenya, William Ruto, responded to this by stopping the bill and dismissing cabinet secretaries. The protesters did not stop regardless of the deaths and destruction trolls ameliorating. Sad Generation Z demonstrations expanded to other African nations. In Uganda, youth engaged in anti-corruption protests and President Kaguta Museveni demonstrated that with the intelligence gathered, the demonstrations were foreign funded for doing very bad things for the nation. Dr. Inyas Kabano, a political analyst, reiterates that the excuses of these youth are baseless, but rather lack civic morals as they destroy the achieved rather than preserving them. There is an issue of lacking morals, bad comportments, of destroying properties, their properties, that would benefit them in the long term. This is bad and sad. Dr. Kabano also adds that African countries should introduce policies empowering the youth to ensure a broader vision of Africa. And this requires that countries are to rise and teach their youth, follow up on them and take care of them, especially as there are many, and protect them. Some of the youth in Rwanda demonstrate that for the government has introduced a way of promoting them and addressing their issues is a proper way of ensuring their proper future.
If a youth speaks and is heard and is involved in decision making, there is no need for involvement in demonstrations, as we are involved in the development journey.
President Paul Kagame affirms that there is a need to empower young people for the betterment of the nation as they are able. The head of state made these remarks in the RPF in Otanyi press conference after the party concluded its presidential campaigns.
Like when I talked about encouraging young people and government making investments in their future, like education, like business, their health, their blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And then that part of politics always being there, reminding them, hey, you guys wake up. This is your responsibility. You can't just be there. So from among them, one or two, or whatever number you want, among these people, there will always be somebody to play that role. You would be grooming somebody, a specific person for.
The Gens demonstrations also started in Nigeria recently. Some of the political analysts believe that there are enemies of Africa supporting these demonstrations. What is true is that violence will never bring any sort of solution to issues hindering the youth in Africa. Nevertheless, accountability and involving the youth in any nation's development is also key in meeting their needs.
And that VOA story marks the end of our bulletin tonight. And on behalf of the news production team, as well as the technical team, we would like to thank you very much for sticking with us on RwandaTV News. My name is Martina Abera. Stay safe and have a great night.